the Bucks at home yesterday looking to even up their series with the Nets, and this could be the moment that decides the series. Kyrie Irving, watch, you will see as he comes down on the foot of Giannis Antetokounmpo, and you see the ankle go, and that's just a terrible moment. It would leave with a right ankle sprain. Malika Andrews will have an update in just a moment. Let me show you then how the rest of the game went. It went like that. Chris Middleton knocking down a tough shot. James Harden could only watch. Here comes Giannis flying through the air late. He had 34 and 12. KD had 28 in the loss. Bucks take it 107-96. So we're tied at 2 games apiece. The Nets, as we speak, are still the favorites to win the NBA title, but they are currently an underdog for Game 5 at home. That was after being favored in Game 4 in Milwaukee. The Nets are just 9-6 when only one member of the Big Three plays since the acquisition of James Harden, and that could very well wind up being the case for tomorrow night's Game 5. Let's find out more from Malika Andrews, who's as close to this as literally anybody. Malika, let's start with Kyrie. It looks bad. What is the latest as far as what you're hearing on his potential for playing in Game 5?
Well, the returns on his early x-ray that he had yesterday, Greeny, were negative, Steve Nash said. But he is slated to undergo further testing and treatment here in New York today. But Nash also said as of last night, his status for Game 5 was very much up in the air. He said, I have, quote, no idea whether or not Irving is going to be available to play. But as Nets owner Joe Tsai tweeted, I wouldn't bet against, he wrote, Kyrie Irving, hashtag Mamba mentality, obviously referring to Kobe Bryant, Irving's late mentor. But this is something that is very much still developing. Over the next couple of hours, we're going to get a clearer picture as of whether or not he's going to be available to play in that Game 5. Be assured that he's going to be undergoing continuous treatment to try to be out there. But as you said, this injury doesn't look good, and ankles, they can be very tricky, Greeny.
Yes, and the dynamic of being tied at 2-2 in a best of 7. Do you rest him one more game? All those things will come into play. And then, of course, there's the James Harden of it all. What is the latest as far as his potential return?
Well, Nash was adamant that he wants to see the Kyrie Irving injury and James Harden status as separate incidents. That's how he wants to treat them. He said he doesn't want to rush James Harden back now that they are missing Kyrie Irving. And one thing that we've heard lots over the last several days, Greeny, is Steve Nash and folks within the Nets have said James Harden is, quote, progressing. So before yesterday's game, I asked Nash, what exactly does progressing mean? And he said that every time he checks in with the performance staff, every time he checks in with James Harden, they'll say he's doing well. He's on the court, he's doing some shooting and some exercises there. He's still working through his rehab, but Nash said that he still has a, quote, gap to make up. And before he's going to be cleared to play, Harden, Nash said, is going to have to be able to string together several high-intensity workouts, and he's just not quite there yet.
All right, Malika, we'll be monitoring your Twitter feed all day for updates on Kyrie and Harden and everything else. Outstanding, as always. Thank you. In the meantime, if there's one thing that I've learned over my many years doing this for a living, it is that when you see an injury, the first person you ask is a doctor, and the second person you ask is a football player. So, Marcus, I'm just asking you in your unprofessional expert opinion, when you see that tape, when you see Kyrie Irving's ankle go the way it does, that's Sunday. The game is Tuesday. What do you think?
Well, G, you know, every chance I get, I remind people that I hoop. Number one, it don't look good, G. And then you think about guys in certain positions as well, man. Like, and this is a part of most professional sports league. Kyrie Irving game is built on lateral movement. His ability to handle the rock and put pressure, great pressure on that ankle, to be able to get people out of the way he maneuvers through a defense, it's an issue, man. A different player may be a different thing. If he was just a spot-up shooter, if he was a guy that had to just come off of a pick and shoot the ball, but that's not his game. That's not how he operates throughout the course of a game. He depends on those ankles, and I know it's kind of like, well, all of them do. Kyrie Irving does a little bit more than most people because he wins off the dribble. And then secondly, when you think about James Harden with his hamstring, being a facilitator, both of these guys are guys that can get their own bucket. And what that means is there's a tremendous amount of pressure on their lower extremities to get past people, to get rid of people, the moves that they're making. So look, for professional athletes, for athletes in general, you look at injuries different based on who and what position those injuries are attributed to. For both of these guys, with the amount of movement that they have throughout a game, with the amount of usage, with the way they handle the ball and how ball dominant they are, and how much they rely on their skill set and their lower extremities to get past people, this is a huge issue for the Nets, and probably the worst possible situation that they could be facing. Now it's 2-2 tied up with the Bucks, man.
Yeah, and the dynamic of whether or not you rest them in order to try and keep them as the best chance you have for a Game 6. We'll see how I'm going to leave it there for the moment. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.